Philadelphia. It's one of America's great treasures. Just over a decade ago, Rolly Massimino and his Philly-based Villanova Wildcats captured an impossible dream, shocking Georgetown for the national championship. Duke and Coach K have had their share of magical moments, but none more memorable than Christian Laettner's miracle shot right here in Philadelphia 4 years back. Today, there are new stars on the horizon. Duke and Villanova hope to awaken the echoes of championships past.
Smart takes the shot. Indiana wins the championship.
There's the pass to Laettner. And we welcome you to the magnificent new structure in Philadelphia, the CoreStates Center, for 14th ranked Duke with a 6-2 record against the Villanova Wildcats, number 4 in the nation and undefeated. Hi everybody, I'm Jim Nance and welcome to Duke against Villanova. What a beautiful new building here. The first college basketball game to ever be played at CoreStates Center. And in fact, they're expecting the largest crowd ever to watch a basketball game in the city of Philadelphia, a city that has hosted 2 Final Fours, including back in 1976, when my partner today captained Indiana to the national championship. Quinn Buckner's alongside. That brings back fond memories, I know, every time you come to Philadelphia, doesn't it?
Got a lot of good memories about that, Jim.
Well, you guys were undefeated back then. Villanova's undefeated here early in the season. How about the Wildcats?
Well, I like the Wildcats. There's a reason that they're ranked number 4 in the country. They've got 3 very good players. Tim Thomas may have been the best player to come out of high school, including Kobe Bryant. And then you look at in the middle, Jason Lawson, outstanding player, ranked right behind Rasheed Wallace. And then Alvin Williams, a point guard that can run your club, is very important when you're looking at going through the NCAA tournament. And that's the hope for these Villanova Wildcats.
We're going to see a nice matchup inside today. I'm talking about Lawson against Greg Newton, who's off to a really good start for Duke here in his senior season. How about Newton?
Well, Newton is needing to have a big game. He's a guy that can be very active. Most important for him this afternoon is blocking out. He's going against 3 guys, 6'9", so he's got to give his team a chance to come up with some rebounds so they can get out and run. They struggle in half court. Important for Newton to have a big game.
Well, 2 of the biggest programs in college basketball, but they haven't met since 1978. They're about to duel, Duke and Villanova. Welcome back to Philadelphia, getting ready for the start of Duke against Villanova. Mike Krzyzewski has never faced Villanova in his career. His starting lineup, Ricky Price, Carmen Wallace getting the start today, and Greg Newton at center. In the backcourt for the Blue Devils, Wojciechowski and Langdon. Steve Lapis, 5th season at Villanova. This is his 250th game as a head coach. Tim Thomas, the freshman, in the front court with Cornegay and Lawson. Howard Brown and Alvin Williams man the backcourt. Timmy Higgins with Scagliato and Donato to officiate this game that matches up Big East against ACC. Villanova in white and Duke in its alternate road uniform.
This alternate road uniform is very different from the Duke I've normally seen.
And a quick turnover as Cornegay and Thomas had a little miscommunication.
We've got 2 of the outstanding defensive teams here, Jim, and I think what's going to be important for Villanova is how they handle the pressure of Duke, because Duke will force that offense up further than Villanova's used to running it.
Wojciechowski and Williams match up at point guard today. Villanova in the man-to-man to start out.
Trying to look to get something inside with Newton, hopefully to get Lawson in foul trouble.
Right over Lawson, tipped up and in by Carmen Wallace.
I think they'll give it to Wallace, but I thought Cornegay got a pretty good hand on it too.
Wallace, a 6'5" senior from just down the road in Wilmington, Delaware, only about 15 minutes from this arena.
See, they started out man-to-man with Duke as you expect, and they got Brown getting the ball.
Cornegay misfiring, but Lawson follows it up for 2 more.
Well, that's where I think Duke has really got some exposure, particularly on the offensive glass from Villanova. Duke's got to block out.
So Lawson, who averages 14, gets the first bucket for the Wildcats. Ricky Price stops his dribble. Wojciechowski having a good start to the year. Inside, and Williams comes away with it. Wojciechowski battles for it, and Newton picks up the loose ball.
Duke was lucky on that one because Duke got away with a little bit of grab on the arm.
Langdon 3 from the top of the key.
And that's Trajan Langdon is a good shooter. He's a guy that they can get open on the perimeter, so they know they can get perimeter shots. They got to be able to create something inside, Jim.
He's shooting just below 50% from three-point land. 5-2 Duke. First 2 minutes of this game. Howard Brown. Now Cornegay looks for Williams. Inside, Cornegay with a little flip hook. He's had trouble shooting from the floor, Quinn. Only 29%. Most of them have been short shots.
They've been inside shots. We talked to Steve Lapis about that yesterday, and he can't understand it. I think it's a little bit of the bad ankle that Cornegay has been playing with.
Off the Price miss. Villanova comes away with it. Lawson, ball was stripped free, and a foul called on Duke.
But did you see who made the pass? That's a 6'9" Tim Thomas that made the pass inside to Lawson, and that's one of the things that they like about this young freshman is his ability to see the game, get it to people to make plays.
Foul called on Wallace, which will send Lawson to the line for 2. Lawson, 6'11", senior from right here in Philadelphia. He set already the all-time block record in school history.
See a couple other good names down there. Ed Pickney, Howard Presley.
And gets them both. G. Price brings it back out.
You notice how Duke pushes the ball up to probe the defense, see if they can get something early, particularly with Price on Thomas.
Wojciechowski way out there at 3. Doesn't drop. Cornegay with the rebound. Thomas to Cornegay, kicks it out. Brown three-pointer, yes.
That's how you play the game. Jim, that's how you play it. You get it inside, as Thomas did, and throw it out to a shooter. Makes you pretty successful.
Howard Brown playing the position man by Kerry Kittles the last 4 years. Inside Newton, and Cornegay hacked him on the way up.
Well, that's going to be a battle in there because Newton won't back down. And Cornegay, you got 3 6'9" guys in there, and Lawson, Cornegay, and Thomas. So Newton is going to have to be a force inside and try to draw some fouls.
He'll shoot 2. You talk about a battle. As we see Steve Lapis, he too has never faced the other side. His first game as a head coach against Duke. That includes his days back in Manhattan. But Duke really battled just to get here for this game yesterday.
Yeah, battle. They started out, the charter didn't get to pick them up. They were supposed to leave and didn't do that. Then they get a commercial flight that finally leaves, I think, about 6. No, he leaves at 8, was due at 6.
Right.
So they struggled with that. Get in here finally at 10:40. And then the bus driver took them, instead of right next door to where they needed to go, all the way downtown, then back. They get in the bed about 11 o'clock, 11:30.
About a 9-hour ordeal for them. As a result, Duke did not get to have a little shoot around here at this arena yesterday, and we'll see if that's a factor. Williams gives it up. Lawson for the slam.
That's what you like with Alvin Williams. He can make plays. He got there that time because his shot was going to get blocked, and Lawson made sure he gave him a place to throw it, and then he finished it.
Nova on a 9-2 run.
When Ricky Price gets the ball on Tim Thomas, that's worth watching because Thomas has to be able to guard on the perimeter.
There's another block to add to the career total of Jason Lawson, who just dunked at the other end after a beautiful assist from Williams.
Well, watch Williams. Wallace is all over him, and he just threw the ball right in. Newton not close enough, and then you see right there getting the easy basket is Lawson.
Langdon, 3, his second of the game.
Yeah, Howard Brown has got to be concerned where Trajan Langdon is, because Langdon is a very good scorer.
He's made 23 of 48 on the year.
Well, Jim, what I noticed is out of about 26 shots he's made, 21 of them have been three-point field goals. So he's taken a lot, but he's made most of them.
And Thomas spinning and firing. Rice tips it over to Wallace. Duke has a chance to regain the lead.
Watch Lawson trying to fight Newton in the post. They don't just let you get it. Neither one of these teams will just let you get it in the post. They're both fighting for it. So again, you got a chance to watch that defensive matchup with Thomas.
Shot clock down to 7. Wojo bounces it into Newton. Big step to the hole and gets the 2.
There's a good defensive play and very good offensive play by Newton because he didn't rush it, even though Lawson, who's blocked the shot, was standing right there, and Lawson stayed on his feet.
12-11 Devils. This game yielding some interesting matchups. Brown tried to dish to Cornegay. We talked about the center matchup at the start, Lawson and Newton, but this Wojo-Williams little battle will be one to follow.
Because you got 2 quick players. Even though Williams is taller, he's quick enough that he can guard, and Wojo will as well.
Foul on Cornegay of Villanova. And a timeout on the floor. Duke with 6 points from Trajan Langdon, and with a slim lead at the first break. Duke leading 12-11 with possession and 3 subs into the game. Taman Domzalski, who has missed the last 3 games with a knee sprain. He's number 13. Chris Carrawell, a freshman, number 23. Is also in the lineup. And a whistle.
Well, that's a foul on Brown, and that is a bad foul because he fouled Jeff Capel, who is really struggling with his offense. And what you don't want to do is get a guy, this particular young man, and Capel led his team in scoring last year, and he's had a real tough time getting going offensively to the point that he's got to make some baskets. So don't get him going on the foul line.
Capel coming into the game in that last break as a sub, as well as Rashawn McLeod, the transfer from St. John's. We talked about Capel's struggles, shooting 20% from 3, 28% overall from the field.
And it's starting to affect his confidence. And when a guy has a problem like that, where you don't want to get him is the foul line where he feels most comfortable. And he made those 2 foul shots.
So Capel and Wojo in at the same time. And Rafal Biggis inside, battling with Taman Domzalski.
They call him Biggie.
Alan Domzalski. Another Villanova sub coming in, Brian Lynch, a freshman from Belmar, New Jersey, out of Christian Brothers Academy.
They got a good freshman class here because Lynch is a good player with a good feel and can make some shots for them.
Loose ball, last touch by Duke.
That's how Tim Thomas tried to force the ball inside to Lawson, but Duke is always going to collapse down to the ball when you're down below the foul line.
There's Rafal Biggis, who got the start earlier this week in a game against Penn, and Duke forces the turnover.
Quick hands of Wojciechowski on, and Williams got that turnover.
Capel driving baseline, he was bumped.
See, and they've given Capel some confidence here.
Foul on Tim Thomas.
You know,
and the decorated freshman's been a little quiet here early in the game, Quinn.
Well, you know, we saw yesterday he didn't practice. He's got a bruised calf, and I don't think that there's any question that that calf has slowed some of his ability to get some things done. But I suspect the longer he plays, the more comfortable he'll realize that he's probably not going to hurt it anymore.
Carrawell gets the soft bounce. Carrawell, the freshman from St. Louis, Missouri.
They've had a lot of good players out of there. He went to the same high school, as a matter of fact, as I believe Jahidi White down there. And St. Louis has just had a lot of outstanding players to come from that area.
Duke with its largest lead, 16-11. Jahidi White of Georgetown.
Who's actually having a pretty good year this year, too.
Carrawell, the all-time scorer and rebounder, though, back at high school in St. Louis, they both came out of. And Williams, meanwhile, missing inside, but Lawson underneath.
Look at the scrap.
Williams flipped it over to Biggis, And McLeod comes away with a Duke 3-on-1. McLeod right to the basket for 2 more.
Duke is just out hustling at this point Villanova. They're coming up with every loose ball. Wojciechowski makes the play down on this defensive end that they probably don't normally make.
Steve Lapis takes the 20. Villanova, 4th in the country, ranked only behind Kansas, Wake Forest, and Kentucky, and Michigan with a big win at Cameron last Sunday by 1. Iowa State, Cincinnati, Arizona, Utah, Clemson rounding out the top 10. Anything stand out to you?
Iowa State's a club you got to watch. They got 5 of their starters back. Dedrick Willoughby is averaging plus 20. Tim Floyd, I think, has done a very good job with that program, and they're a team that I think will contend down the stretch.
Duke hasn't turned it over to this point, and Villanova's 4 turnovers all been converted into baskets at the other end.
Well, you expect Alvin Williams to be able to get his team into something, but Wojciechowski's doing a very good job applying pressure out front.
There's Lynch in traffic. They were all over. Duke up ahead. Carrawell. Williams giving chase, and Williams knocks it out of bounds. Good play.
Well, it was a heck of a defensive effort because Duke went into what looked a little bit like they were chasing the 2 guys at the top. On the bottom, they weren't doing a whole lot, but you see everybody gets down there. Wojciechowski gets a hand on it, passes up. Looks like an easy basket, but Alvin Williams hustles back in defensive transition to not allow that easy basket. Celestin just comes in.
Wojo comes out of the game for Duke as Trajan Langdon returns. Here's Langdon. He's already hit 2 threes.
See, Langdon is taking over at the point guard, but you can get Capel to try to come off offensive-minded.
Capel 3, yes.
And that's what they need. That's what I told you. The free throws gave this young man some confidence because he stroked that one. He has been very tentative in the prior games because he just didn't have the kind of confidence he had last year.
He was only 4 for 20 on the season from three-point land before that one. Duke has scored 14 unanswered to take a 10-point lead. Celestin right off the bench drilling the 15-footer.
Well, we'll get a chance to see what kind of team Villanova is because you're now down to a team at home that you should be ahead of. We'll see if they'll have the patience to get themselves back into this.
Gets it back out. McLeod 3. Another one. Duke up 11.
Yeah, it was. But I like the pace. Duke is showing some extreme paces, Jim.
It's a Villanova team that really hasn't been challenged by a big opponent this year. Their best wins, they're 6-0. Their best wins coming against Providence College and St. John's.
Jim, you know the history of Duke and Mike Krzyzewski is he always tried to schedule a tough game like this early, preparing for the NCAA tournament. And that's what he's done here on a hostile floor with a very good team.
Celestin called for the charge. And the under 12 timeout. Duke has already made 4 out of 6 from behind the arc to lead by 11.
The trouble that Villanova is having is the quick hands of Duke. Watch right here. The ball comes up. Brian Lynch thinks he has it, but Steve Wojciechowski gets it and pushes up. That's why Duke has had some success here early in the first half.
Jim Nance, Quinn Buckner back courtside, and Duke really on a run right now. What's happened to Villanova?
Well, Villanova hadn't quite gotten themselves to the point where they can get a good feel for where they are offensively, but I like Duke's defense. I think it's much more aggressive than Villanova anticipated.
Now Villanova coming out with better intensity, but Duke snaps it around. Price from the corner, nails the 3.
Well, that's what they've found out, that if they can move the ball out. See, when you play a zone with big people, though they're long, sometimes they have a tough time getting to the corners, and that's where Duke has been making their 3-pointers.
27-13. A 20-2 spell here for Duke. Newton reaching around was over the back. Tomorrow, top United States and international superstars, including Brian Boitano, Victor Petrenko, Katarina Witt, and Oksana Baiul, will show off at the Professional Skating Championships. That's coming your way tomorrow, 3 p.m. on Olympic Winterfest on CBS Sports.
You know, I'm sure people are saying, where's Tim Thomas? Well, he's a freshman. One of the reasons he came to the Villanova so he wouldn't have to be the star and have to carry a big load.
Oh, and goes right off the hands of Thomas, who was all set to have the easy bucket.
Yeah, he's struggling getting himself on track, but that's why he came here to Villanova, and he really hadn't asserted himself. He's trying to feel his way into the game, given that injury that he's had.
He cited the Felipe Lopez situation at St. John's when he had to come in and be regarded as the man to carry the team right away. He didn't want that same kind of scenario.
No, he saw that scenario and didn't like it at all because he saw all the adversity of publicity and even the troubled time that Felipe seemed to have dealing with it.
Well, here he is making the steal, and he's held up by McLeod, who will be whistled for the foul.
Well, he must have been listening to us because he makes a heck of a play. He's standing almost back behind the foul line in one hand, gets it and gets going up the basket.
That's the Blue Devils' first turnover. It took them 9.5 minutes to commit one.
I think Villanova is getting a sight of what it's like to play against quality competition who really doesn't care what kind of jersey you have on. They just play. What a heck of a grab.
But last touch by Duke. Great grab by Williams, but he had nowhere to go with it.
It was an awful pass and a bad decision, and Mike Krzyzewski knows that his team did a good job in just getting themselves in position not to allow that basket to happen.
Midway through the first half, 27-13, and Celestin, that's a 2, had a foot on the line. He's hit 2 shots now off the bench.
He's giving them some offensive firepower off the bench, but they sorely need it with Brown not being able to come up with anything.
He scored their only points now in the last 7 minutes. Price rejected by Thomas, but back to Newton. No foul. McLeod, Williams on the arm.
And it's a good call, and I'll tell you why that's normally a good call. When you're playing down on the block, if a guy gets the ball and the ball goes down, that usually means he mostly got ball. If the ball goes up, more often than not, it means he got an arm. Ricky Price is going to take it to the hole strong, and here's what you have inside. 6'9" Tim Thomas gets it. I don't think that was necessarily goaltending because I thought he was shooting it to the glass. Had he been shooting it to the rim, it may have been considered goaltending.
Rashawn McLeod may have injured a finger. So he comes out. Carmen Wallace returns.
And this is a little more active defensive unit out here for Villanova. They're challenging passes.
Still 20 on the shot clock. Langdon knocked loose.
Watch the lob.
Williams followed up. Thomas missed it. And Brown, no foul called. Now there's one on Wojciechowski. But
you saw the energy come back to Villanova. That play happened early in the game, and Duke came up with the ball, but Thomas got himself back involved after the miss. Right here, the ball goes in the air, and then it's pushed up by Celestin, and Alvin Williams actually makes a pretty good move. I thought he would lob it, but he misses it, and you see Tim Thomas time it and just misses it. Fortunately, gets down off the rim in time, and watch him come back into the play. And then he got fouled.
This kid can shoot free throws. He had a stretch of 27 straight made free throws that was snapped in a game against Penn this week. But he's still, for the year, 30 of 33. Over 90%, averaging 18 a game.
He's leading his team in terms of scoring, and for a freshman, that's pretty unheard of, as you well know.
A real debate as to whether or not he was the best high school senior last year in the country.
Well, it may be a debate, but a lot of pro coaches will tell you that Kobe Bryant, who plays for the Lakers, and Tim Thomas may have been a better player because he's taller and can do a lot of the same things that Kobe Bryant could do.
Thomas out, Cornegay in. That's another Duke turnover. So they went to 9.5 without one. Now 2 in the last minute. But still leading by 10.
Well, Villanova's got a smaller team in. This team should be a lot more active on the perimeter. They're playing their 3 guards, have been for some time, but they've taken Thomas out of the game.
Last touch by Celestin. Pressure from Wojciechowski.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing, Jim. Wojciechowski has given Alvin Williams everything he can handle. Wojciechowski is a guy that's just going to fight for every inch he can get. Not worried about talent, worried about how hard he plays. think Duke is a team that later in the year is going to be pretty good. But you got to remember, they've got some new faces in the lineup. Wallace is not a guy that got a lot of minutes, and he's getting substantial time. So it takes a while for a team to gel, and Mike Krzyzewski's team generally do that later in the year.
It's a Duke team that's 10 deep. Price, back of the rim. Brown, Lawson, and no question about that one as Capel landed on his back. It's a Duke team that has 2 freshmen contributing, and a third one, Nate James, when he gets back from injury, will be also worked in.
James will be a good player, but you see Jeff Capel go in, and that's not a bad foul, because instead of just giving up an easy basket, what you do is you put a guy on the foul line that's only a 69% foul shooter. Well, actually, he didn't get to the foul line because he didn't take the ball up.
16 fouls. The next one will be a 1-and-1. Cornegay, McLeod's back in there on his back, and they score over McLeod. Chuck Cornegay.
Well, that's probably a welcome sight for the Villanova coaching staff, because Cornegay doesn't give you a lot of points.
He has been rather vanilla on offense until today.
Vanilla, invisible. He just hadn't been there.
McLeod and Nova on a 6-0 run, looking for more. Celestin tripped by Wojo.
Well, that was a good defensive play. I thought Wojo did a good job getting back. I'm not sure. Celestin looked as though he was starting to jump, and once you start to do that, he just lost his balance, and he'll get the benefit of the doubt more often than that when that comes.
Ryan Lynch, freshman, returns for Nova. In for Williams. Wojciechowski has committed 2. Celestin giving Villanova some real quality time off the bench. He struggled this year at the free throw line, under 50%, 7 of 16. That one looked only perfect.
You know what that looked like? It looked like his jump shot. I mean, it's almost the opposite effect, if you will, that Capel had. Capel made a couple foul shots and then made a 3-pointer. Celestin's make a couple shots, and now his foul shot has a lot more rhythm. You just get it's confidence.
Celestin with 6. Under 8 timeout. Here's Cornegay giving him a boost as Nova's making the comeback. Well, Quinn, in this game, Duke has made 4 more threes than the Wildcats. Duke leading by 6.
Well, not only that, but Nova's made 7 turnovers, and that's always going to be a problem. But more importantly, the 9 points that Duke has been able to get off of those turnovers. It's one thing if a turnover ends up being a violation and you get the ball out of bounds. It's another thing for Duke, because they've got about 3 steals, so they've been able to convert those turnovers into baskets.
Duke led at one time by 14, but Villanova with 8 unanswered right now. The run continues. And a traveling call on McLeod. McLeod, the first transfer at Duke since Bob Bender transferred from Indiana back in the late 70s.
Bob Bender, I played with Bob Bender. He was a freshman when I was a senior at Indiana, and now he's doing an outstanding job at Washington.
Played in 2 Final Fours for 2 different schools.
Yeah, he did. He's the only guy to ever do that. Duke being the other school, obviously.
Brown, good move there by the sophomore from Pottstown, Pennsylvania.
Well, he did that with confidence, and they need to find some other places to score.
So 10 in a row for Villanova, and Duke in its last 4 trips has turned it over.
You know, Jim, I've got to believe that early in the game that Duke played a lot with emotion, knowing that they were playing basically a team by size, as Capel just throws that ball out. By size, they were just going, you know, just playing with emotion. You see right here, Brown just confidently takes the ball up right over Capel. There's not a whole lot he can see. It comes right into your living room. See, he gets him out of position, and then he just gathers himself and goes up, and Capel can't do much about it.
Another trip with an error down the floor by Duke. 5 in a row. 5 straight turnovers, but right back comes Newton.
Vegas making a pass. I'm not sure you want. He's trying to throw the ball inside to a guard.
Newton being held by Biggis.
Yeah.
Quinn, next Saturday we have a doubleheader, national doubleheader. UCLA against Illinois. That's from the United Center in Chicago, followed by 2 top 10 teams to battle in Auburn Hills, Michigan. It'll be Arizona against the Wolverines, who will not play on their home floor. but 8 against 5 in that game. And then again, Illinois will move up to Chicago to play. Malik Allen comes in for the Wildcats.
That Michigan-Arizona game will be one that will be very interesting to see how Michigan takes the confidence from beating Duke at Duke and goes and plays a tough Arizona team.
Newton off the mark on the front end of a 1-on-1. Cornegay, that same move this time hit the front of the rim. Foul called on Villanova.
Call it on Malik Allen as he tries to go get the rebound from Greg Newton. Allen, another one of those freshmen that they like here in Villanova. Strong, very active on the glass, got long arms.
As Thomas returns for the Wildcats. And I was thinking that Duke 2 years ago, last week, played in the first college game ever at the United Center in Chicago. Duke beat Illinois in a close battle. Now here are the Blue Devils helping open up this court for the first college basketball game at the CoreStates Center.
You know, and knowing Mike Krzyzewski, having had him as a graduate assistant in both my junior and senior years, Mike has made this basically a one-game series in this regard. He says they may have what may be considered better talent, but let us be the better team today. And that's the kind of way that Mike Krzyzewski will get his team involved so they can play and feel confident about this game.
Those free throws, Duke's first points in 5 minutes, and an official timeout. We're having a problem with the shot clock.
Yeah, shot clock is still on 35.
Coming up on Pennzoil at the half, Andrea Joyce is in New York today in the studio, and she'll get you all caught up on the scores and highlights and the latest basketball news, all coming up on Pennzoil at the half. Alvin Williams, Wojciechowski watching him closely again. Here's Thomas in the lane. Cornegay with the board. With a little spring off that sore ankle.
You're talking about hops. He came with some that time.
Capel hits another one. 2 for 2 in this game from behind the arc.
That's, again, welcome surprise to have Capels going. They can get him. He can start creating off the dribble and be successful at it because he's done it for so many years at Duke.
Lawson trying to go inside to Thomas, and it's a turnover.
Well, if you're going to be a good player, I think the most important thing is to be active. But you see right here, this ball comes, and an active Cornegay not only gets it, but with strength, just puts that one back through.
5:25 to go, first half. Duke by 7. Over the top, Newton.
And that's because Capel was on that side, and Capel has made 2 3-pointers, so the defense has to close out on him, and so then the pass over the top is an easier pass to make.
That's right, Lawson came out on him, left Newton unattended.
And you wonder, where's Tim Thomas in terms of scoring? He went 3 for 11 in the game against St. John and still ended up with 18 points. So he can score. He'll find ways.
Duke comes out of there again with another steal. Capel with renewed confidence, left-handed. He shot that one. Yeah.
When you shoot it left-handed.
Thomas traveled.
I'm going to tell you what that is. That's a move that you don't see most 6'9" players make. I'm not sure that was a travel.
Yeah, I wasn't so sure about that either.
No, it's just that he's so big and quick that you just don't see 6'9" players make it. And they felt most 6'9" players a travel with that. He just put the ball down before he took his next step.
Celestin in. Thomas gets a rest. Duke's lead back to 9, looking for a return to a double-digit advantage. Carrawell, little reckless driving the lane in a tie-up situation. Arrow belongs, though, to the Devils.
Wojciechowski, in all those skirmishes, Wojciechowski always manages to be in the middle of it. And the coach has got to love that about his play.
Trajan Langdon in for Ricky Price, and Taman Domzalski also back for Duke.
Look, Mike is doing one really good job, and I'll tell you why. His team has got to be a little tired after the trip they took yesterday, so he keeps rotating people in and out to make sure everybody has some fresh legs.
Domzalski a little hesitant. Now he'll come in. Newton will rest. One player we haven't seen that's usually a part of the Duke rotation is freshman Mike Chappelle. He has not played to this point.
They've been able to get some good play out of just about everybody else they brought in the game. Even Domzalski is a big body that you have to get on the floor.
15 points off the bench for the Blue Devils. Here's Domzalski. Langdon. That shot influenced by the long reach of Lawson. Look at Williams' speed to the basket. Foul on Duke. Foul on Wojciechowski. That's 3.
Well, they would like Mike Krzyzewski would have liked to have gotten through the first half without getting a third foul on Wojciechowski because he's so active. Good hands, so he's got to go take a seat on the bench and they'll bring in Ricky Price.
We'll let Langdon handle the point duties. This is a small Duke lineup right now, though, really, with Langdon, Price, Capel, Carrawell, Domzalski, the big man in this rotation.
Well, they've got to play with a little bit of quickness because you're playing against people like Alvin Williams. As you take a look at his numbers, shooting almost 60% from the field, 47 from the three-point line. Now, that's pretty hard to get it done much better than that.
34-26. Blue Devils by 8.
Players out in front. Jason Lawson is right there, and then Wojciechowski. And what happens is because Jason Lawson runs, Wojciechowski has to pick him up. And in his effort to try to go back out and pick up defensively on Williams, he fouls. But it's because Jason Williams got out and ran that Wojciechowski picked up his 3rd foul.
Villanova picking up now. Three-quarter court. Defense. Celestin on Capel. Under 4 minutes remaining first half. The double team. Price looking for help.
Did a good job trapping out of that. It was token man-to-man. And then it came out real tough.
Langdon, not this time. But Carrawell sweeps the rebound and dunks it home.
Does a really smart play because Cornegay and Lawson already blocked shots. He took it the other side of the rim to be protected so he could get the shot up.
Duke increases the lead to 10. Williams lost control of it, and that was last touch by Williams. Duke ball.
Duke does a good job of going to get the ball. Watch Carrawell take it to the other side. Cornegay has 2 fouls and doesn't want to get his 3rd. So Carrawell takes the ball to the other side. Lawson got screened out.
Celestin trying to get the steal, leaving Price open for the jumper.
You don't want to gamble on Ricky Price because he'll make you pay, even though Celestin had the right idea, and Steve Lapis knows he didn't want this to happen right at this particular time.
Another 20-second timeout for Villanova. At the conclusion of this game, we'll be selecting a genuine Chevrolet most valuable player from each team. To date, Chevrolet has contributed almost $6.5 million to the scholarship funds of America's colleges and universities. New rule this year in college basketball on timeouts. You get 3 20-second timeouts, but you have to use one of them in the first half.
I like the 20-second timeout because, first of all, as a coach, you don't want to talk the entire time anyway. This one was one of coming right out of the other, breaking the action. Guys, let's settle down. And particularly Steve Lapis was talking to Alvin Williams. Get us into some offense. Don't try to do it by yourself.
If you don't use one of the 20s in the first half, it doesn't carry over. The max you can have in the second half, 2 20-second timeouts. So let's see if Villanova has composed itself. Cornegay bouncing inside Thomas.
Tough matchup. Jeff Capel got called on Tim Thomas. That's 6'9" against 6'4", 6'3". You just can't defend that.
First field goal for Thomas in this game. He has 4 points. Domzalski, a little left-handed hook. Up again. Tipped in.
It looked like Domzalski. I thought he did a pretty good job getting himself active just being around the glass. Oh, they gave it to Carrawell. I thought that was Domzalski got his hand on it.
40-28 Blue Devils, 2 minutes to go first half. Thomas guarded by Capel.
That's one of those places you got to get Thomas on the block. There's no way that Capel can guard him.
Huge size advantage, and Thomas scores on the last 2 trips.
Yeah, as long as Thomas is out on the perimeter, Capel has a chance because he's got to put it on the floor. But at the basket, there's not much he can do.
Duke had a 12-point lead late against Michigan last Sunday. And they would lose by 1. Capel, high arcing shot, and a foul called on Duke's Domzalski.
Well, Chuck Cornegay does a good job. Just get it into Thomas, and you see Capel try to do everything he can, and it's really no effort at all to take and shoot the ball because Capel can't do anything by jumping, so he tries to just stay in good position.
Newton in for Domzalski. Duke's 2 losses, both against Big Ten opponents. A loss to Indiana in the NIT final. What a performance there by Andre Patterson, 39. And that loss to Michigan last weekend.
I think of both, the loss to Michigan may be more troubling because, as you mentioned, Duke was up 12. They went through a 10-minute period where they didn't score. And that, and being at home at Cameron, where they've only lost probably, I think, 2 times in Mike Krzyzewski's tenure there.
Non-conference.
Carrawell looks like he's got shoulder problems and he's grabbing it.
That's a lingering problem for Carrawell. Has had both shoulders operated on going back to his high school days. He's always had the shoulders popping in and out of joints and out of the joint. And let's see how it happened, Quinn.
Well, he's at the bottom of the screen. Oh, he got it leveraged poorly. Lawson caught it right where, almost at the point, and it was poorly leveraged for Carrawell. And Lawson is a big man, and obviously it hurt him. But you can see Carrawell, he can raise his arm. The coaches, the training staff is talking to him. The doctors are, and he seems to be okay.
Timeout 20 called by the Blue Devils. Yeah, that loss, you were about to touch on that subject. Since 1983, Duke has a non-conference record at home of 103-2.
That's just unbelievable. And they credit a lot of it to the fans, but you've got to be getting after it pretty good because they play good teams, both home and away. And they should have won the game against Michigan. And you can give Michigan credit for coming and get it. But Duke had that game and just couldn't get some baskets to go.
Didn't score in the last 6.5 minutes, missing their last 9 shots and turning it over 7 times in that stretch.
And at the play that they lose the game on, they lose. And how do you lose tractor trailer? Robert Traylor is like 6'8" and 330 pounds, and they lose him, and he goes in for the jam.
40-32, 1:08 remaining. Duke in front.
Duke is just going to try to get a good shot, as best shot they can here. So they're in no hurry.
Under 10 on the shot clock. Price got caught under the backboard at a Duke turnover.
That was good defense that forced that. Price tried to take it to the baseline, but when you've got guys under there 6'8", 6'9", it's hard to get back, and they just forced him under the basket where he threw it.
Final 50 seconds of the first half. Newton comes out high on Williams and retreats. Away from the ball, foul called on Thomas of Villanova. His second.
It looked like there was just some hard work on the part of Ricky Price trying to get in defensive position. And Thomas gets himself in positions. On the right side of your screen, you see they call the foul on Thomas, but I think the foul actually could have been called on Ricky Price early. That's why the exasperated look on Thomas, because Price grabbed him to get around, and then Thomas took his arm over the top. The officials caught the ladder.
1-1. That's the 19th foul on Nova, and Duke unable to convert. Tim Thomas with the quick hands, now driving from the wing, off the glass. Malik Allen comes down with it. And a foul on Duke.
I've got to believe that Tim Thomas is struggling a little bit with that calf because he didn't explode to that one. But you saw another freshman come in, Malik Allen, get in the middle of it. Thomas gets it, pushes the ball out, gets there. And then there's some good defensive position. Watch right here. Langdon does a good job cutting him off. And then Allen gets the ball, misses the tip, and stays with it, and is able to get him 2 foul shots out of it.
Foul on McLeod, his second. And the freshman from Villanova, from Medford, New Jersey. We'll have one more. Howard Brown in. Final 35 seconds of the half. Duke can hold it for the last shot.
And I'm sure Villanova would just really like to get it down in the single digits so they can feel a little confident going in, but they may not have enough time because Duke can run the clock out with their shot.
"25 seconds. Shot clock turned off.
I would prefer to see the Langdon or Price with the ball because they're two guys that can beat you off the dribble. Unless Capel is feeling confident.
Capel now with 10. Starts the penetration, looks on the wing, throws it away. Langdon was not there.
Miscommunication. Capel was going to the basket. Langdon, instead of following him, decided to come away from the basket. Steve Lapp is trying to get a shot here with 6.9 to go.
Alvin Williams. Langdon guarding him. Thomas, corner. Shot blocked by McLeod. Price, and the half is over. Duke led by as many as 14. That lead has been trimmed in half. The score at the intermission: Duke 40, Villanova 33. Andrea Joyce will be along with Pennzoil at the half right after this message and a word from your local station. Undefeated on the year, but that first half outplayed by Duke.
I don't think there's any question about it, Jim. First of all, when you think about the big guys, Lawson didn't get going until late. Or got going early, didn't do anything late. Alvin Williams averages 3 turnovers. He had 3 in the first half. If they don't lead you, then you got a problem. But Duke shot the ball better, and I thought they were much more aggressive. That's why they've got this lead.
And the statistics will back that all that up also for Duke. As you can see, 6 out of 9 from 3-point range. Shooting percentage is about the same, but the turnover is a big story here also, Quinn.
Yeah, averaging 17 has been Villanova through the course of the season, as you can see, with 13 at the half. Again, Duke got to be aggressive, particularly when your point guard starts turning the ball over, Jim, as you well know. It becomes a bit contagious, and everybody else starts to do it. And I thought Wojciechowski had a lot to do with the turnovers that Villanova had in the first half.
This CoreStates Center, on the same site where once there was a 100,000 seat stadium, Philadelphia Municipal Stadium, later renamed JFK Memorial Stadium. The stadium that hosted Army Navy for 40+ years. Dempsey against Tunney back in 26. They cleared it out. And they've got this structure that's the home for the Flyers, 76ers, and now the first college basketball game to be played on this floor. The building 3.5 months old. Lawson's last points came with 15:45 to go in the first half. And he'll have a chance to score quickly in the second stanza. He'll head to the line for 2. That foul on Newton, his second. Now the Big East this year against ranked teams, winless. 0-6 on the year against ranked teams.
Yeah, they've really struggled against some of the better teams around the country. But I think that's partly because you remember the Big East had 3 players, if you will, that were All-Americans.
Right.
And that's never really happened before. So you lose a lot of talent like that. I mean, you're talking about 3 players that are in the NBA that are making a serious impact. So that's part of the reason that you see the Big East struggling right now. It's all cyclical.
They lost Kittles from this Villanova program. Ray Allen from UConn. Allen Iverson, Georgetown. Iverson now playing in this arena for the Sixers. Wojciechowski with the rebound to Wallace.
See, Duke is again chasing down loose balls here early. Better than Villanova.
Crowd wanted traveling. Instead, Wojo with the 3.
Well, that's why they miss it, because not only can he get pressure on you, he can make shots.
Wojo's first points.
55 is pushing off every.
It looks to me, Jim, that Villanova is starting to get an understanding of what kind of purpose you have to play with when you are a team ranked as they are. Duke definitely knows how hard you have to play.
Cornegay with Langdon reaching in, almost getting a tie-up situation. the top. Inside, Lawson, left hand, good.
That high-low pass is something that I'm sure was talked about at halftime, because Greg Newton will front, which means he gets on the ball side, and if he does, you throw it to the top and then down.
Rice, another three for Duke. Duke is now 8 for 11 for the game.
They're playing, and Tim Thomas just kind of hung his head on that one as he tried to get out for Ricky Price, but got there too late.
And a turnover.
Now watch Newton. See, that's called a front when he gets on that side, and you see him signal to throw it inside, get it to the guy at the top where he can get an easier basket. That's what I think Villanova has to look to do a great deal more of. They're going to try to exploit it. They can. Duke is going to try to exploit Tim Thomas.
And Newton couldn't find the handle.
Yeah, he missed the handle on that. What I mean by that is Tim Thomas is trying to guard Ricky Price, and Price is just too quick for Thomas. And if he starts making jump shot, Thomas has to close on him, and then Price can use his quickness.
Lawson up high, gives it up. Brown. That's a three, rattling out. Duke, 9-point lead. It was 7 at the half. As many as 14 in the first half. Villanova had an early 11-7 advantage before a Duke run, a 20-2 run. Newton, wow, how did that go? Had two players draped all over him.
Well, I don't know how it went, but I do know this. Duke is playing more like the team that's number 4 than Villanova, because there was extreme patience in an effort to get somebody a decent shot.
Newton and Lawson matched up against one another with 10 points apiece. Here's Lawson. Cornegay follows it up. And Wojo comes out of the pack. Challenging Thomas. Ooh.
Now, I think both players were trying to make sure there was no basket there. I'm anxious to see how the officials call it, because Wojciechowski drove in there as though to make sure that there was going to be a foul. I mean, it's coming right at you. Now, Wojciechowski's going to draw the foul. So he's going in to draw the foul. It's the coming down of the arms that the officials have to take a look at to make sure there was not an effort to hurt anyone. Thomas gets over. He comes down and comes down hard. I don't know on that one.
Well, Newton didn't like it, but Wojciechowski just jumped to his feet and toweling off, but he's ready to shoot free throws.
And Mike Krzyzewski's question was it intentional? And had it been intentional, it would have been two shots and the ball on the side. And the officials felt that there was no intent to harm, just an effort to make sure it was a good foul.
So Wojo at the line. For two. What a season he's having. His assist to turnover ratio now, Quinn, on the year. 52 assists, 15 turnovers. That's 3.5 to 1.
And that's you want to turn the ball over to somebody like that. I mean, turn it over as a coach. You want to hand it to a guy that you know knows how to get it where it needs to be.
It's them both. And Duke by 13. Nearing its largest margin of this game, 14. Sean McLeod manning up against Cornegay. Now Celestin. Cornegay, fade away.
We've talked about his offense. He's not an offensive player per se, and if you get him to turn away from the basket, he becomes that much less effective.
Celestin went for the steal. Langdon three. Might be on Thomas over the top. Let's see. No. It's going to be on Lawson.
Yeah, they called it on Lawson.
Lawson's first. Next week, a doubleheader coming your way on Saturday. The UCLA Bruins against Illinois. The Bruins trying to iron things out here early in the year with Coach Steve Lavin. And then Arizona, Michigan. Two top 10 teams to battle right here on CBS next Saturday.
The one that's the most interesting to me is the UCLA-Illinois game, because
you're doing it.
No, not necessarily. UCLA, as you said, they have to iron out. They have big problems. I mean, they're starting to manifest themselves in different ways. Lavin getting the job, obviously, with Jim Herrick being released. He's got a job there where you got guys who are uncertain as to whether or not they want to be in college, and you do that with a coach. That's a difficult position.
Nice touch by Nova. That last foul was committed by Tim Thomas, his third. And there's a timeout at the 16-minute mark. So Duke has up the 7-point halftime lead. In fact, they're on a 7-point run, up 13. Some legendary names remembered. Jim Nance and Quinn Buckner, and Duke looking like the team that knows how to play in a big game situation.
And I think they do, Jim. I think that's where they're getting their confidence. Villanova is not accustomed to playing in games this big. You and I were just talking about that. I really think that is the difference, is a team understanding this kind of environment has to be top flight play. Every loose ball is very important, and I'm not sure Villanova understands that yet.
Nice. Thomas, tough pass, but he got it there. Celestin in traffic. And he'll shoot a couple. Langdon on the foul.
Well, I know one thing. Steve Lapis is going to do. He's up at the official because he thought there were 2 fouls that occurred there that were not called. And I basically see it as officials letting guys play because there was nothing got taken away. Thomas was able to get the pass where he needed it to go. Lapis was trying to get a foul on Wojciechowski because that would have been his 4th foul.
The man doing Duke radio color is Johnny Dawkins with Bob Harris, longtime voice. Well, 11 seasons ago, he's the National Player of the Year for the Blue Devils. Now he's their color commentator on all their radio games. And he, of course, starred right here in Philadelphia for the 76ers.
Had a good career in pro basketball, and right now has gone back to Duke, working in the athletic department and as an administrator, an intern in the athletic administration, something I talked to him about earlier. He's pleased to be back.
McLeod 3. Oh, no one had Langdon. No one got a body on him. And he came in, easily picked up the offensive board.
Just what we were talking about. Every play makes a difference. You got to get out and the shot is taken up, and on the right side you'll see uncontested this Dresden Langdon, and you see Celestin was the guy that needed to get there, and you see Tim Thomas was asking John Celestin, are you gonna block him out, or who's gonna get this guy?
And Lawson collects his second. Langdon gets them both. And he'll come out. Capel will replace him. Good first half by Jeff Capel. Knocked down a couple of threes. Had 8 points in the first half.
The bench was strong in the first half, I thought, for Duke. They got about 19 points to 6 points from Villanova, and Villanova is supposedly considered a deeper team, if you will.
Williams from the baseline.
He did this against St. John. He took the game over. So that's the one thing that Duke has to keep in mind. Against St. John, Alvin Williams made 3-point shots. He made 2 or 3 of those in a row that got his team going again. So Duke has got to be concerned if he starts going.
Price, deep corner, 3-pointer.
Great ball movement. Just where it has to go. Wojciechowski's made a 3, you come at it, then you get it to the next open man and let him shoot it.
Price had made only 4 of 23 3-pointers coming into this game, 17%, but today he's 3 out of 4. So what a hot shooting hand. Went through the cylinder and back out. Villanova keeps it. Cornegay, 6-footer. Having a nice game.
Yeah, he really has offensively. Ricky Price misses that layup, but they tried to take advantage again of Tim Thomas, who's not getting back.
Duke by 12. Wildcats out to Celestin, 3-pointer, off the mark. Cornegay almost had it, out to Capel.
If I'm Villanova, I'd like to try to exploit a little bit more of Tim Thomas. That time he had Wojciechowski on him, and he was standing out the 3-point line. He's got to get in down under the basket.
Lost around, reach around, Lawson reach around, steal, Celestin up ahead. 10-point game.
Good play by the senior, though. Jason Lawson makes a good steal just over the top.
Duke calls a timeout. It's a 20. Tomorrow, you'll see some of your favorite skating stars, the professional skating championships. Some are saying this may be the only performance of the year by Oksana Baiul. That comes your way tomorrow at 3 o'clock on Olympic Winterfest on CBS Sports. Brian Boitano will be there. Katarina. It's all tomorrow, CBS Sports.
Jim, I think I saw Villanova looking for that timeout.
Now it's a full timeout. First signal came from the Duke side. We'll be right back. That full timeout charged to the Blue Devils, but it wasn't figured out very quickly.
It wasn't figured out very quickly, and I'm not sure this is the explanation. Villanova called a 20-second timeout first. Duke called a full timeout, and they credited Duke with their timeout. They did not with Villanova.
Duke leading 55-45. Blue Devils 6-2 on the year. McLeod steps in. Rebound, Villanova, Cornegay. Ahead, Howard Brown tried to save it, and it's Duke ball.
Well, John Sellison makes just an unbelievable pass. The explanation for it is this. Some officials saw the full, and one saw the 20, so they were trying to corroborate, and when they corroborated, the two that saw the full knew what they saw, so that's why Duke got what they did. See the patience Duke has here? I mean, for a team that has struggled and come out of a loss here recently, they've got great patience, and Capel just takes a difficult shot that he drilled.
Right over Howard Brown. Jeff Capel looking confident today. It's been lacking.
Well, it's been lacking in Duke, if you will, because one of the things that you talk to the coaching staff they've been missing is the senior leadership and toughness.
Celestin with a 2. That's the second one of the game where he had a foot on the line. McLeod between two defenders, and last touch by Lawson.
That's a good move. If you make the move and catch it come to a 2-foot stop, you can go to the next move. If he comes to a 2-foot stop, he did not establish a pivot foot, therefore he's allowed to take the next step. He gets the ball inside, makes a good move on Lawson, takes it up, but Lawson, the leading shot blocker in Villanova history, gets one right there.
His second block of the game. Jumper, good by Langdon. And he'll shoot a free throw also.
And you can see Duke is inspired. I mean, everybody got up the bench when Dresden Langdon made that shot. A difficult shot going to the baseline he makes. Coming off the screen, you see Brown tries to get over there, gets there late. Langdon sees it and just drills it. Just sees it while he's on the ground, and his entire team comes over to help him up.
One shot.
Trajan Langdon had to sit out 14 months with a mysterious knee injury. And boy, is he back in style. When he was a freshman 2 years ago, he joined Johnny Dawkins, who we saw earlier, Mark Allery, and Grant Hill as the only freshman under Coach K to average double figures. He hasn't missed a beat with that long layoff. Inside Lawson, hacked by Newton.
Yeah, President Langdon is a good player for them also on the inside.
Well, the numbers are in, and it is the largest college basketball crowd in the state of Pennsylvania, topping the UConn-Villanova matchup last year and the Carolina game in here against Villanova. I say in here, in Philadelphia, next door at the Spectrum, where they had 18,524. Domzowski returns for Duke. Number 13, there he is. These Duke road uniforms being used for the second time. They opened the season at home in the preseason NIT with the game against St. Joseph. of the Philadelphia area, and it had a real mixed review.
Oh, it's going to get a mixed review, particularly when a school has the kind of tradition that Duke has. But today, when you're out getting young players, they seem to like those kind of colors.
Capel doesn't get that one to drop.
See, Wojciechowski's right there on Williams, and every time he tries to make a move, cuts him off.
Thomas pushed from behind by McLeod.
Well, Thomas had good post-up position. McLeod has got to get him further off the block.
Ricky Price in for Wojo. It was the third foul on McLeod. Ryan Lynch, freshman, pinned in the corner.
You see Williams, the senior, saw he was in trouble and got over there to get him out of that particular predicament.
.12 on the shot clock. Stolen away. Ricky Price. He'll pull back. Duke will set. That patience again, Quinn, you've been chronicling.
It's really important to win championships. That's what you have to have. You're not going to get but 2 points, 3 at the most on a particular possession as a rule. So no need of hurrying it.
Pass just too hard, but somehow Duke keeps it. Domzalski. Foul called on Thomas.
It's the second foul. Domzalski pushed him first, and the official didn't see it.
Well, it takes away a breakaway basket for the Wildcats. And that's why this crowd's especially irate.
Yeah, because they were ready to scream, you're right, Jim, for the first foul. And when that wasn't called, and to see Tim Thomas pick up his fourth when the first one isn't called is something that's disturbing to these fans. And you see that he got pushed right there, and then when he didn't get it, then Thomas grabs and definitely should have been called for his foul.
60-49 Duke. Reaching the midway point now of the second half. Ricky Price drawing the foul, and he'll shoot 2.
I don't know if Villanova thought Duke was going to be afraid coming in here, being that Duke is number 14 coming off a loss. But Duke is infinitely more aggressive in all aspects of this game.
Ricky Price has given them quite a boost. He broke the pinky on his shooting hand back in mid-November, and thus his shooting percentage is below par, but not today. Well, that one wasn't well stroked.
You brought that, Jim. I'm sure Coach Krzyzewski would let you let that one go
Jim,
again.
he'd say knock it off.
He's 0 for 2 from the line here.
3 out of 4 though from 3-point range, and that gives Duke the 12-point lead. Mike liked that one a lot better. Mike's first game as a head coach against Villanova. These two last met, these two programs, in '78 back in the East Regional Final in Providence. Won by Duke on its way to the Final Four. That put him in the Final Four. On its way to the championship game. And here they go, 2-on-1. Price and Capel. Oh, that's it to go.
What a take that was. Because I thought Alvin Williams had a good chance to get that block. But you see the confidence that's rising on this team. Just a bad decision right there. And Williams just comes down and thinks he has a block, and Capel protects it, gets it on the glass, in the basket, and you can see his excitement. That's how you protect the ball, and just loft it up there softly. For his confidence, he's got to be extremely happy.
A timeout called by Villanova. We'll continue after this message and a word from your local station.
Now, when you shoot the ball on a jump shot, it's one thing. But on a free throw, it's a little more methodical shot. We talked about Ricky Price and his injured finger. That tape pulls the one hand a little further right. It's an unusual position. And on the jump shot, you just stroke it. If you got it like that, as he did on that hand, you may shoot it a little bit wide left.
Sounds like a field goal, a football field goal. Capel completes the three-point play, and Duke with that point right there has its largest lead of the day, Quinn, 64-49. 9:45 remaining.
The defense of Duke is taking Villanova way out of what they would like to do in terms of where they need to get the basketball.
Brown blocked by Capel. It's also taking this crowd out of the game and what they would like to do.
Exactly. You got a sold-out house and you can't get the crowd to buy into the game because you're down 15.
Villanova only 1 for 8 in three-pointers. Another try though. Celestin overshot it. That was Brown driving in. Gonzalski blocks. Price ends up with it.
Now you've got a bunch of people trying to do it on their own. Quick shots and the three-point shots they normally make, Jim, are inside out, and they haven't been getting those because Duke has done a good job keeping the ball from getting where it wants to go.
Tough bounce pass. Gonzalski looking for McLeod. Capel said, give it to me. I'll run it up there.
Well, and Mike Krzyzewski is telling Langdon, don't throw the ball to Domzowski up there to force him to make that kind of pass. And that's just knowing your teammates, knowing what they're better at doing and what things they need to stay away from.
Driving, now doubled up, gives it up. Celestin rattles out. Lawson. Not this time. McLeod pulls down the board in traffic. From behind, Williams forces the steal. Celestin.
What I want to know is how a guy get a steal and the guy go down and there's nothing. I mean, that's what I mean by letting them play. They didn't feel, Fisher didn't feel there was a need for a call there.
Celestin off the bench with 14.
At this point in the game, conditioning becomes an issue.
Ricky Price, that's a Ricky Price patented shot. And he now has 14 for Duke.
Didn't have a wide left. See, when you shoot a jump shot, it happens so quickly you don't have time to feel whether it's off or in your hand or not. You just get it because you're accustomed to just doing it that way.
Traveling, like you said, it's so methodical at the line. That was the best way to describe it. Newton comes back in for Domzalski and Malik Allen for Villanova. How about the matchup at center today? How would you rate that one, Lawson against Newton?
I think at this point you've got to say that Newton has held his own. He's done what he's had to do, which is just to make sure that he is a factor in the middle. Lawson just missed an easy shot because Newton was in there, and it ended up being a fall away instead of one that Lawson took to the basket.
Gonna have a foul away from the ball on McLeod, his fourth. You know the numbers for the centers. Newton with 10 points and 3 rebounds. Lawson 12 points, 4 rebounds.
But it was important, and we talked at the top of the show, for Newton to hold his own in there because he's playing against 3 guys as a rule that are 6'9" or better.
Williams gets it back. Wants a third try. That too fails to drop. 4th time. Yes, and one at the line.
Well, that's what you expect your senior to do, to lead you, to show you the way to get to where you have to go. And Alvin Williams has turned the ball over and hasn't had much success in moving it, but just an effort here. His first shot, he goes, tough shot. He takes over the top of Newton. The ball comes back to him. He gets it again, just misses that shot, gets it in his hand, moves it away, and it comes right back to him. And a nice little step through, and he gets it over Newton.
And Newton right here commits his 4th, Quinn.
Well, first of all, he shouldn't have let him get it, but you see, just more focus here. This is the kind of focus I think that Villanova needed to have early in the game, but their captain should have been leading them, and I didn't think that was happening early. Duke took advantage of that.
66-54. 3-point play by Williams.
Good push. That is a good call. They had him on the sideline, and Alvin Williams got food because Wojciechowski looked up, and Steve Lapis, it doesn't really argue the call because he knows that Williams needs to get his foot on the sideline and cut the man off. He didn't. Ended up pushing and fouled Wojciechowski.
That foul called on T.J. Cowett, 6'7" freshman from Winthrop, Maine, who's just checked in, number 50 for Villanova. It's a 1-on-1 situation for Wojciechowski. And that's Villanova basketball. So if they're going to make a run, it's got to start at this point. This is where it all started to dissolve for Duke last Sunday.
Yeah, and they've got to have that in their mind. And the one thing that they have going for them is that that game has to be fresh. It's the last one they played.
Lynch to Allen. 2 freshmen contributing on that play.
Well, that's why they like Lynch, because he knows how to play the penetration and then the kick.
They have 3 freshmen on the floor right now, and Tim Thomas isn't one of them. Cowett, Allen, and Lynch for Villanova. And the Cats with 5 unanswered. Trim a 15-point deficit to 10.
Looks like fresher legs. I'm seeing coming off the picks. These freshmen have done a much better job at least getting in position to keep the ball from going where it needs to go.
Langdon, that's another one on Cowett.
Langdon, good job on the ball fake.
Tim Thomas on the bench next Saturday on CBS. Doubleheader action. The Bruins against the Illini. Lon Kruger in his first season at Illinois. Meanwhile, Arizona with an impressive win early this year to open up play at the Hall of Fame Classic over North Carolina. Arizona will take on Michigan.
Well, Arizona's beaten Utah. I mean, they've played some really good games. They've got Michael Bibby, the son of Henry Bibby, the coach at USC. Michael Dickerson has had 2 30-point games. Arizona's a team that you have to reckon with.
Dickerson can shoot.
Oh, he's got range and he's fearless. He's got a shooter's mentality, which means if I'm open, I can make it.
3 for 3, Langdon. Fouled on the 3-point attempt. And that cools the crowd for a moment.
That's the position inside. Just hadn't been able to make plays in there. See how the defense collapsed?
Lawson too strong. Cowett fought for it. Knocked out by Duke. Celestin will come in for Villanova. In for Cowett.
Cowett did a good job for what he was called in to do as a freshman in a game of this magnitude.
33% from the field in the second half are the Wildcats. Here's Lynch. He can shoot.
Lynch has made the last 2 baskets in his own sense. He scored 1 and he found an open man.
69-58 Devils.
But this is the bigger problem. It's stopping Duke, because Duke feels they know what they can score on now. This is the big problem for Villanova this game.
Duke has a freshman of its own in there, Chris Carrawell.
But they don't have a freshman with the ball. Wojo has the ball.
Langdon. 6 on the shot clock. Carrawell held. Foul on Nova, and with Nova already over the double bonus, 11 team fouls. They'll shoot 2 the rest of the way. You know, Quinn, at the conclusion of this game, we're going to be shifting everyone down to Austin, Texas for Fresno State against the Longhorns.
Fresno State, Jerry Tarkanian is back. Terrence Roberson, Dominique Young. He has player Chris Herron transferred from BC. Those guys can play. And Texas with Reggie Freeman, this game will get up and down the court. It will be an active game. And I think both of those teams have good chances, definite chances, I think, to be in the tournament, as definite as those can be.
Texas put up a good fight at the McHale Center at Tucson on Monday night, only to lose in a tight one. Tim Thomas anxious to get in. They held him back for a moment. Carrawell will shoot 1 more.
Well, Texas plays a little freer, if you will, at home under Tom Pendles.
Is that a play on words with Reggie Freeman?
Of course. That's my little try at it.
You notice I haven't dropped any of those in on you today.
I was waiting.
I had a few at dinner the last 2 nights, but you know, still have 5:35 to go.
Okay, well, I'm waiting because I know I'm due.
All right, so Thomas back into the game. Williams on the glider, last touch by Villanova. They need every possession to count now.
But I agree with you, Jim, but the problem I'm having with Villanova as I watch this game, you can't wait for the ball to come to you. You've got to go up and make it yours, and I don't think that Villanova's done that.
Lynch came over to trap, and he commits the foul, sending Wojo to the line for 2.
Steve Lappers has got that concerned look on his face because he can't quite get an answer of getting a team out that will both execute what they need to execute offensively, get the ball to Lawson, kick it back out, and defensively get out, cut off the angles, because the dribble penetration by Wojciechowski, Price, Langdon has been a problem for Villanova this afternoon.
Wojciechowski, who was a freshman, started 15 games. Then had a little bit of a sophomore slump. Only 4 starts last year, but as he come back as a junior now to just take over the controls here, Bobby Hurley style.
Yeah, this kid's just a fighter. He got in Newton's face when Newton was in the wrong place offensively, and nobody from the Duke staff said a word to him.
Lynch got Price to commit, so Lynch will shoot 2. Ricky Price with just his first foul of the game.
Lynch worked and get himself in position to get foul shots, but he's got to start knocking those down too.
Missed them both.
And neither one of them had a chance.
5 minutes remaining. Duke has really been in control of this game since about the 16-minute mark of the first half.
They came out with more effort from the top in terms of, and I think more importantly, more focused effort. I think the effort was there on Villanova's part. It just wasn't nearly as focused.
Garrawell, spin move, rejected. Lawson. 5 on the shot clock.
He sees it. He sees it.
He's looking for an opening. Langdon fires it. Rebound Celestin. Snaps it ahead. 2-on-1. Tim Thomas breaking, banking it home.
Got himself out in transition to get himself in the game, but short of that, hadn't really been that involved. Watch for more trapping defenses from Villanova.
I don't think there's any question that leg is hindering his play today.
Yeah, I think so, because you don't see the explosion. Everything is done with a little like gingerly, or I just want to get up instead of exploding to the basket.
He has 8 points. Is Tim Thomas, averaging about 18 a game. Now inside 4 minutes. Duke by a dozen. Price.
Oh.
Right back to him. Followed his own shot, rejected. Lawson again on the block.
Oh,
Ricky Price. Everywhere. Ricky Price will head to the line for a 3-point opportunity.
And they may have called, did they call that on Tim Thomas? Yeah, he just fouled out of the game. You see, just a good effort there. Following this miss is Ricky Price. And then getting the ball blocked, but he just stays after it. And they actually call it on Alvin Williams as he reaches in. That's just knowing you're going to miss it. And if you miss it, can I get it back up? No, maybe not this time. One more time. It just happens to come to him. Again, Williams didn't go to get it. Lawson stood, thought Williams was going to get it, and Price got it and is on the foul line.
And again, the free throw not stroked quite as well as the jump shot.
Not nearly as well. That was a brick.
But Price has 16, including 11 in this half. Duke dominating by 14. This game summary with Duke up by 14.
Well, Duke has been able to get a good job done here. You see they've shot the ball better from 3-point. 9 of 17 outstanding and 25 shots. And Nova, you can just see Thomas had 8 points and 4 fouls. But Capel is big because here's a guy that struggled. This is his season high, and they needed to get some offensive production, but more of his confidence so it can lead to a confident team. And that's what Duke has been this afternoon.
Hornegay looking for help, so he steps in, and Newton fouls him.
What a bad play by Newton, but more importantly, a good play by Hornegay.
Quinn, I want to welcome you home to America's Night of Television on CBS tonight. Don't miss Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, followed by Opryland's Country Christmas and Walker, Texas Ranger. You get any residuals on Dr. Quinn?
No, not the Medicine Woman. I don't get any.
Hornegay, let's see his totals at the line. Hornegay went one of the bright spots today for Villanova, especially in the first half. He's 8 for 18 on the season from the line. Newton fouled out with 10 points, 4 rebounds.
Well, he was pretty good. Speaking of residuals, you get any residuals from Tin Cup?
Well, did you see it?
No, I haven't seen
Well,
it.
when you do, maybe we will.
Oh, please. It's on video already?
Not quite yet. It will be. Soon. Traveling call on Duke. Jason Lawson in.
Well, you got Newton out of the inside. Now, the question is Villanova, will they get the ball inside to Lawson? Because I thought Newton defensively was solid in there. Lawson didn't get very many good looks.
Just 3:25 remaining. Lawson with McLeod on him. Bounce pass, good play. Teammates and roommates combining on that one. Lawson to Williams. Timeout Villanova, a 20. And that's one of the 20s that they were able to keep, right?
They got back so they can put that one to use. But it was a good cut by Alvin Williams. But that's why I said throw the ball into Lawson, because you know there's got to be some double team of sorts going on, and then make the cut if you can.
Seems like the lead for Duke has been right in this range, though, the whole way, you know, between 8 and 15 points. And there you go again. Next Saturday, 1:30 Eastern time is the start of it all. The doubleheader day on CBS with UCLA against Illinois, Arizona, and Michigan. And this Michigan program looking for a new identity now to try to break free of the whole Fab Five connection, and they may just have it. You know, this group pretty impressive. Bullock and Traylor and
Travis Conlon is a big key for them, their point guard. And that's who they've got to get some success for. He can make shots, he can find people, and he needs to lead them.
Maceo Baston, underrated.
Oh, great athlete, long arms, can get to a lot of shots, gets dunks, helps them a tremendous amount. And Maurice Taylor, who is a Juwan Howard type player.
Oh. Capel around Brown. And rebound Lawson. Quick outlet, Celestin. Duke back quickly, though, on D.
Duke is going to get back quickly, and that's when the good decisions by Villanova will have to show up.
Celestin lobs it inside. Lawson should have the easy two, and does. Inside 10. And another timeout.
Yeah, that's what happens because they don't have Newton in the game and have to make a decision about Domzowski.
This is a full timeout. 2:27 remaining. Duke by 9. Well, Duke's lead has been trimmed to inside of double figures, but Villanova has used all of its timeouts. That one right there, they may want back, but 2:27 remaining, Quinn, and some thoughts here the rest of the way.
Well, I don't think they have to foul, first of all. I'm surprised they've used all of their timeouts, but most importantly, they can get something on the offensive end because they've got height on their side. They just need to make good, solid defensive plays, and that's not one of them. You reach for the ball, you leave your team exposed.
And Lawson commits the foul on Price as Duke had a 2-on-1. Third on Lawson.
But Villanova's feelings have to be along the lines of we can take some gambles because Lawson normally protects the basket. But you've got to remember a Duke team that is experienced in these kind of situations, and they don't necessarily mind getting fouled because they feel confident that they can make foul shots.
Price, who has struggled at the line, pure on that one. 2 for 5 today from the line.
But the team, as a rule, has struggled. I mean, they're only shooting 66% is Duke from the foul line.
That was a big factor in the loss against Indiana. They were only about 22 of 39 in that game.
Anytime you play in big games, you know as well as I do, Jim, that scoring from the foul line becomes very important.
Alvin Williams driving, and it's an 8-point game.
That's a 2 for 1 that they're willing to take. 2 points for 1.
Langdon pushes it ahead to Capel. Cross court, Price.
So they've decided to up the tempo some and foul, because I see Steve Lapras on the sideline telling Alvin Williams to foul.
And that's it for Williams, though. That foul fouls him out of the game.
Well, that's bad because he controls you, but he also does things like this. He was taking the ball to the basket, and you'd like to get somebody else. See, it was a bad decision for Alvin Williams to foul under those circumstances because he picks up his 5th, and he's got to know that. So he's got to if Wojciech's going to go, let him go where he's going and let somebody else foul him. But that's a lesson that they've got to learn if they want to have any chance to be playing in March.
Many rate him as one of the top point guards in college basketball this year. Alvin Williams, he had 10 points today. for 12 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists.
I think that's, I rate him up there. I think he's a very good point guard. I think he got a lesson today on how to handle games of this magnitude. But the important thing is not only he get the lesson, but his teammates have to get it, because it's pretty hard to get people to drink. You can get them to the trough, and I think that's his role, to get them to the trough, and then his teammates have to soak it in.
Wojo 6 for 7 from the line.
Well, that was very close to a turnover.
Lynch. Fouled by, might be McLeod. Foul on McLeod. And that's it for McLeod. He fouls out of the game. The executive producer of CBS Sports is Rick Gentile. Coordinating producer of NCAA basketball was Bob Dekas. And today's game directed by Robert Fishman. Coordinating producer of the Road to the Final Four is Eric Mann. And the Road to the Final Four directed by Kathy Barretto. Associate director of today's game, Jim Rickoff, and broadcast associate Steve Karasek.
You can see Mike Krzyzewski has decided to go with a small team here. Even so much so that they've gotten Ricky Price that they've taken out of the game. And they've got Carrawell in the game, and Wallace. And Steve Lapis, on the other hand, going on the defensive end, because Tim Thomas has 4 fouls, has taken him out of the game, hoping to get him back in for some offensive production. The other thing is, obviously, if you foul, you don't want Tim Thomas being one having to foul. So you know you can get him back in if you want to offensively.
Villanova program with 51 wins over the last 2 seasons, but only one of those victories coming in the NCAA tournament.
But, you know, the one, when you look at what they've done, though, they lost to Old Dominion the first year, which could have been a problem. The second year, Louisville.
Freshman Tim Thomas not 100% today, nor has Villanova played up to 100% of its ability. Duke leading almost the entire game, 77-69 with 1:39 remaining. The Blue Devils will shoot one more with Trajan Langdon. The Blue Devils have led by as many as 15.
And the Blue Devils have been so much more focused, aggressive, you call it, you name it. Just very certain in what they tried to get accomplished. Villanova trying to learn how to play in these kinds of environments.
Celestin doing a good job of drawing a foul. He'll head to the line for 2. Duke has a special visitor from last year's team, Chris Collins, behind the Duke bench today. He's playing pro ball over in Finland, and they're on a Christmas break, and he flew in for the game.
He had a good career at Duke. He really did, and it had to be hard for Chris, whose father, Doug Collins, obviously coaches the Detroit Pistons, to play under that kind of scrutiny, but he was able to do that, and I think he has to feel good about the 4 years he had at Duke.
We got 2 20s in the floor.
Well, he played hard, too.
He played hard. He could shoot it a little bit. He was Duke's kind of player, played generally pretty smart.
Foul on Celestin. Villanova has inched within 7 with 91 seconds remaining.
They're trying to really, what they're trading out on 2 for 1s if they can get them. Just hoping that you get 1 shot or 1 basket, if you will, if that, off a foul shot for Duke, and they can score on the other end. And Tim Thomas keeps coming in and out of the game with that thought.
He's a man who's had a good day at the line and overall. Wojciechowski 6 of 7 today. He'll shoot 2.
And I can see from a point guard perspective, that's really important to be a good foul shooter, because late in the game, you're the guy that's bringing the ball up, more apt to get fouled early. And Wojo stood up to the task here today.
How about that? 11 points, 8 assists. 22nd timeout called by Duke. UCLA and Illinois will tip off our doubleheader next Saturday on CBS. starting at 1:30 Eastern time. Arizona against Michigan, and those teams figure to move up a little bit in the rankings with, Villanova perhaps on its way to a loss.
Yeah, and rightfully they should move up some. Villanova here just hadn't got it done. But, that game, I'm just anxious to see how Michigan responds to playing in that kind of environment in Auburn Hills.
This game not quite over. 91 seconds, and Villanova, this is a critical trip for them. Celestin wanting to create something now. Driving on Carrawell, wild shot, but underneath Lawson, no foul. Duke has it, will shoot free throws other end.
They had just about what they wanted, except Celestin got a pick and roll, and Tim Thomas ended up with Wojciechowski on him. And instead of Celestin slowing it down, getting around, that's where you miss Alvin Williams. To get it into Thomas being guarded by a guy that's almost 8 inches shorter.
You learned a little bit today, but why don't you give me an idea of your early season picks for the Final Four?
I think Kansas is a good pick. I like Iowa State.
Two Big 8, two Big 12.
Yeah, two Big 12 teams. I like both of them. I've always liked Utah, and I think Utah's got it in a position where they'll get it. And then Kentucky. You're always very good at this. I'm interested in yours.
Well, Kansas, you can't go against. Team to beat this year. Thomas, three-pointer. Foul on Celestin quickly, but still the Thomas three only brings the lead down, or the deficit down, to 8. I think this could be Roy Williams' year. Kansas ranked #1 in the country. Wake Forest right behind them. And then Kentucky, and I agree with you. I think the Wildcats will make a return trip. I think Villanova, once you get Thomas playing 100%, going to make a good run at it also. Michigan 5. Iowa State, as you mentioned, perhaps unknown by some, but all 5 starters back. The team that won the tournament championship a year ago, conference tournament championship. I think Cincinnati will be there by the time this tournament gets underway. We'll be playing, knowing how to play as a group.
And I really think that's a hard thing to do. And I'm anxious to see if Cincinnati can pull it together. When you get players that are only with you for a couple of years, and Bob Huggins has done as good a job as anybody in basketball with that, to get those guys the chemistry in sync to go on and win it, it's just something that's difficult to do. I know he's gotten there with when they had Corey Blunt and Dick Van Exel, but they still haven't gotten it.
92, they made it to the Final Four. Ryan Lynch. Villanova program that had to replace 3,000 points. All-time scorer Kerry Kittles plus pure shooter Eric Evers. Stolen away, Celestin. Howett to Lynch. Big shot here. Three-pointer, front of the rim. Lawson kept it alive. Wallace tracked it down. And Wallace will head to the line, to the delight of about 250 people in the stands. His family, again, we mentioned at the start, Carmen Wallace, a senior and co-captain, got the starting nod today. He hails from Wilmington, Delaware. Within a half an hour of here, he grew up, and his family bought 250 tickets for this game.
That's just incredible. When I was dumbfounded, but it's not unlike Mike Krzyzewski, if the circumstances warranted, where Carmen Wallace has been a big factor, one of the tri-captains, to try to ensure that a player coming back to his hometown environment gets a start. So I'm sure that's part of it. And now you've got Wallace on the line here with 41 seconds to go, trying to ensure that the Blue Devils come away with a victory in front of his 250.
Celestin driving. Duke underneath. Langdon. You know, Villanova's first 3 games of the season were played down in Puerto Rico. They struggled in their first game against American University of Puerto Rico, a Division II team, only beating them 68-62. All 3 games were played before crowds of 500. So Carmen Wallace's contingent today almost matched that.
Yeah, it does almost match that. But for Villanova, it looks like we're talking Steve Lapis, their offense is not where he wants it to be. There's no question about it. He thought they were not in sync and were getting there, and they've got some strides to make with that, knowing how to get people the ball when they need it.
Villanova will play a regular season game. That's in February 9th at Rupp Arena. Thomas, his second three. Now he starts to warm up, but a little too late. Rupp Arena against Kentucky. Cats big non-conference game later on.
I'll tell you what Thomas is smart enough to do. Coming down, he was trying to tell everybody else to foul. Steve Lapis just tells them, all right, we got to play this one, because they've just gotten beat by a team that came much more centered on what they were trying to get done.
Hats off to Duke. It was a difficult trip when it should have been a short one, but it's a memorable one to the city of brotherly love.
They'll go home. They need to be. Mike Krzyzewski is very proud of this group. After that trip, to play that well against a team like this is a tremendous accomplishment to those kids.
And all the hardships getting in here, a 9-hour ordeal trying to make it here yesterday. The Chevrolet most valuable players of the game are, well, for Duke, Jeff Capel.
And I think Capel was big because early in the game he gave his team the confidence, and that's how they were able to go on and get themselves through the balance of the game. And John Celestin came in, and I thought gave him a lift on the other side, just not enough. He made the first 2 points for them from the bench.
Chevrolet will donate $1,000 to each school's general scholarship fund to reward outstanding students for their academic achievements and to assist those in financial need. A dominating performance, really, by Duke. The winner by 8. For Quinn Buckner, Jim Nance, Andrea Joyce coming up next.